Jack vs. the Space Empire of Continuum by Scott Rice. Read for you by Hellfreezer. Part 5. "What?" I whispered back. "Time and place, Jack, seriously."
"I'm just saying, bro, I bet she'd be a wild ride in the sack."
I just shook my head, then turned back in time to hear the female speak.
"You are the two humans who brought my sons back?" the female asked. She oozed regal and strength.
"Yep, that's us," spoke Jack. "Who might you be?"
There was a quite sharp intake of breath from the people behind her. What? She asked the question, guys. We were not supposed to answer her? I could tell this was going to be a long night.
"I'm Queen Aurelia, leader of the Kensian people. Who are you?"
I was surprised at how dignified her voice was. It was deep but feminine, as if it was strained by years of hardship and struggle. The look in her eyes was patient, but I detected a hint of desperation in them as well. This was a deeply troubled woman. "I am Andy, and this is my partner, Jack," I said.
"Dude,"
whispered Jack.
"don't say partner, it makes us sound gay."
I just gave him a look that said, "Shut the hell up, Jack."
"Why exactly are you here?" asked Aurelia.
She looked over to Richard and Harry. Richard was still sitting as silent as a statue, but Harry was smiling and madly waving at Aurelia. I looked over at Jack. "You might want to take it from here, dude. I still don't know why we're here either."
"We're here because something bad is coming to Earth, right?" asked Jack. "Something bad enough that you people are leaving to get away from it. I want to know what that it is."
"I see," replied Aurelia. She turned to Richard and Harry.
"I shall deal with you two later."
Richard didn't move again, but he growled deeply. Harry, on the other hand, took up a different approach.
"Please, Mum, I didn't mean to do it, I didn't,"
he wailed. He fell upon his knees and reached out towards Aurelia.
"Please don't shave me again. I'm sorry, please. Anything but shaving. I can't take it again, I can't."
"I will deal with you two later,"
said Aurelia in a strong, stern voice.
"Oh, Richard, Mum's going to shave me again. I told you she would. I did. I told you. Now I'm going to be all cold and itchy. I hate that. Richard, are you listening to me?"
Aurelia closed her eyes and slowly shook her head. She then turned back to Jack and I.
"Your presence here has caused much consternation and worry. It is highly illegal to have humans here. What my boys have done will be severely punished."
Harry wailed again and began to rock back and forth on his knees.
"However, considering the current circumstances, I have decided to allow you and Jack to leave immediately. You are neither wanted nor needed. Leave now, or else I shall reconsider my decision to free you."
And with that, she turned on her heel and began to walk away. Jack stood up. The guard behind him tried to force him to sit, but Jack moved to the side and delivered a vicious blow to the beast's groin. It bellowed its surprise and pain, but released Jack. Richard looked at the stricken guard and laughed. The rest of the guards leveled their weapons at Jack and I, and yelled for us to stop or be shot. Queen Aurelia turned back towards us and gave Jack a look of, well, respect, perhaps. I was no expert on Kensian body language, but to me it looked like respect or something similar.
"Look, I'm not trying to start any trouble here. I just want to know what's going on. Is the Earth about to be attacked? And is that why you guys are leaving? We have a right to know, damn it."
Jack was on a roll now. He wasn't yelling, but he was close. The guard behind him was trying to rise up off the ground. His legs were shaking, but he was making a good effort at it nonetheless. Richard continued to snicker at the hapless guard.
"I don't see how you, or anyone else for that matter, can do anything about it," said Aurelia.
"All I'm asking for is a chance. Just one chance to do something. I don't know what I can do at the moment, but I want to try. Don't you think we deserve that?" asked Jack. "If I'm going to die, then I'd rather die fighting than trying to hide and hoping for the best."
Jack spread his arms out wide.
"You guys are fighters, right? Well, why not fight? Why not go out with honor than digging a hole underground?"
At this, a chorus of agreement rang out from the Queen's entourage. Aurelia herself seemed to agree with Jack's words. I, however, knew what Jack was attempting to do. We'd seen Star Trek enough times to know how to talk to people much like Klingons, a similar race to Kensians. Battle, combat, and honor were valued highly. Jack was attempting to connect with them on their own level. Jack could be manipulative at times. Jack was in his element, and he was stirring the crowd like a conductor.
"I'm not afraid to die. I am afraid of dying when I can do something to change it," continued Jack. "Even if I do die, then at least I will die in battle and not cowering in a shelter somewhere, crying my eyes out and gripped in fear. Cowards die 1,000 deaths. A warrior dies once in a glorious battle. Don't I deserve that? Humanity's time may be up, but I want no one to think that we didn't give it our best shot. I don't care what our odds are. I only want to take as many of these bastards out with me as I can before I go."
This time a cheer rose up from the Kensians. They lifted their weapons into the sky and let loose with their war cries of approval. Jack had pegged these people dead on. He could tell they were tired of running and hiding. Jack's words had touched something deep within them that had been suppressed for generations. Now here was a man, a human man, saying things they themselves felt. Queen Aurelia looked at Jack with appreciation and understanding. I knew Jack was telling the truth here. After all, I witnessed him fighting like a warrior in hell, especially when he and Lucifer went at it toe to toe. Jack never backed down 1 inch. He fought tooth and nail the entire time. He was magnificent on the battlefield. I knew him well enough to know Jack indeed had a warrior's heart, and loved to fight. And truly, if anyone could do this, it was Jack. Although, we still didn't know what it was he was wanting to fight. Queen Aurelia turned toward a bench across from us and the fire pit. She sat down and looked at Jack and I for a long time, before speaking. "Your words ring true, young human. But the enemy is far worse than you can imagine. Death will be staring at you. It will envelop you like a cloak, surrounding you in complete darkness. Humanity has never dealt with an enemy such as this," she said. "What is going to happen, my queen?" I asked. The queen sighed and looked at the ground. "They are called the Drow. We don't know much about them. As far as I know, no one has ever seen them and lived. The Drow came from the center of the galaxy some 500 of your years ago. The center of the galaxy is a dangerous place because of obvious reasons: radiation, black holes, ballistic planets shooting outward. None in their right mind would go there because of these dangers. The gravitational waves and anomalies tear ships apart, and yet the Drow seem to have evolved from that place. At least as far as anyone can tell."
"What makes them so dangerous?" asked Jack.
"Their technology is far advanced, for one. Another reason is the way they fight. When the Drow come for you, they come in force. Hundreds of thousands, even millions of ships jump in system and utterly destroy anything you can throw at them. They absorb life, all the way down to the microbial animals that live in soil and bedrock. The Drow have great machines that roam the surface of a planet, destroying everything in their wake. The machines constantly churn the ground, sucking in everything they need and leaving death behind them. These machines are unstoppable. They absorb everything: cities, mountains, oceans, forests. Everything. When they leave, the planet is reduced to rubble, a mere memory of what it once was. No life remains whatsoever. And what they don't use for sustenance, they use for their war fleets, including the inhabitants. Those that are deemed worthy are taken away and redone." "Redone? How?" I asked. "They change them, both inside and out. They change them." Aurelia went silent for a moment, as if remembering something horrible from her past. "These people are never the same again. Their minds and bodies are changed to something the Drow used to fight for them. Their vast fleets are nothing more than conquered civilizations. This is why no one has ever seen a Drow.
One only ever sees the conquered, never the conquerors. The more battles the Drow win, the stronger they become. Their numbers always increase.
Have you guys in the Galactic Society ever won anything with the Drow?
Jack was almost worried. I say almost because the guy has never really been worried in his life. If he was worried, he wouldn't know what to call it, much less how to handle it. To Jack, worry was probably a light flutter. Nothing. Not a single battle. We were always defeated, sighed Aurelia. They are too strong a force head-on. When they came for Kensia, we fought like we'd never fought before, but to no avail. Warrior after warrior, ship after ship, planet after planet, all fell to the Drow. We had no choice but to gather what we could and flee, lest our entire race be extinguished forever. Yet here we are again. The Drow come, and we flee. Many of the Kensians surrounding Aurelia snarled and gripped their weapons tighter, their anger very apparent. I could tell they were not handling defeat well. And how could they? They lost their home world, and Lord knew how many other planets and outposts to the Drow. A proud, advanced race reduced to beggars living in a hole in the ground. Yes, it was a pretty fantastic hole to be sure, but a hole is a hole. I could sympathize with these people. I felt sorry for them.
So now they are on their way here, to Earth? Asked Jack.
Indeed. We have called this place our home for 500 years. We were driven from our ancestral home once. And now we are being driven away from our adopted home. The great Kensian race has been reduced to cowards who hide in the dark. There were loud shouts of disapproval and outright anger from the assembly. Several pulled swords and battered their chests. Aurelia looked tiny and frail. The weight of leading these people must have been enormous. Wait, what about the other races in the Galactic Society? I asked.
What about them?
Said one of the older Kensians, standing just behind Aurelia. His fur was a light tan with streaks of grey around his muzzle and neck. He was wearing a dark brown robe inlaid with golden designs.
They are worthless whores, who seek nothing but power and fortune. They ignored our calls for assistance.
He growled and spat on the ground.
Cowards, all of them.
Aurelia simply stared at the ground and nodded. Our ancestors tried in vain to rally galactic forces to deal with the Drow threat, but no one answered our call. The Drow forces cut through our best warriors with ease. We had no choice but to flee.
So, this Galactic Society, they're worthless then?
Jack was thinking hard. His brow was furrowed and his hand enveloped his chin. If he wore glasses, he'd have chewed on the earpieces and worn a tweed sweater. I am afraid so. Galactic Society has been spiraling downward for many eons, said Aurelia in a much softer voice. Most of the elder races can care less about the younger ones, while the younger races constantly fight for power and wealth among themselves, as if the Drow had never existed. Politics and wealth. That is all the society seems to care about anymore. One race trying to subjugate all others for nothing but wealth and power. Honor and duty have no place in galactic society now. Corruption reigns supreme.
That's terrible, I cried. We should all be united.
Don't they understand they'll become targets for the Drow too? I was mortified. How could such advanced species be so blind?
They simply don't think it will ever happen to them, said the older Kensian. They only see the effect of causality. The Drow have destroyed many powerful races. This leaves gaps in the governance of their society, gaps the younger races wish to fulfill. The fools can't see past their own lust for power. Many believe the Drow don't exist at all. They think their political enemies made up the Drow to sow despair among member races. What you humans would call a power grab.
I'm afraid his words ring true. The truth is, our galactic society is dying. The Drow have sped up the process, but it's dying nonetheless. Those of us who have fought the Drow saw all of it. None of us received any sort of aid from the society when the critical time came. Even when news of our defeat was spread far and wide, the member races did nothing, not even to save themselves. Aurelia was the saddest creature I've ever seen. She was trying very hard to hold back tears. The older Kensian laid his right hand on her shoulder. She tilted her head to contact his hand, and she embraced it with her hand. It was very moving, especially from an alien race. So they do feel love, I thought. These guys are a lot like us. No wonder they chose Earth to live.
Fine, I get it,
said Jack, still looking thoughtful.
We're on our own. My queen, won't you grant us a ship and a crew so we may find some way of saving the Earth and defeating the Drow once and for all? I know it isn't much, but it's a start, and that's all I need.
The congregation grew silent. Many nodded while others grunted their approval. Aurelia was silent, deep in thought. She looked to Jack, then me, then to Richard and Harry. You humans are a brave race. You stand there before us, ignorant of so much, and yet you wish to take up arms to fight for your lives. You too have hearts of a Kensian. You impress us greatly and remind us of our past glory. Glory we should never have forgotten. You honor us all. I shall grant you your wish, Jack and Andy.
Wait a minute,
I said. I never said, ooh!
Jack elbowed me in the ribs.
You may take the Silver Puffin and its crew to aid you. I sincerely wish you the best of luck. May our ancestors watch over you and grant you wisdom, brave Terrans.
Richard shot straight up like a bolt, his face enraged. Harry, on the other hand, simply said, We're going on an adventure! Yay! Did you hear that, Richard? Mum's going to send us on another adventure. I'm so excited, I am. Richard, are you listening to me? Oh, I wish you would. I hate talking to myself all the time. Oof! Richard elbowed Harry in the ribs. Thank you for your gracious gifts, my queen. We are honored, and I promise you, we will find a way to defeat the Drow, or else we will die trying, Jack said as he bowed toward Aurelia. She simply closed her eyes and nodded at Jack. I wanted to say something to stop this madness, but my ribs reminded me of Jack's effective elbow, and the fact that if struck once again, my ribs would have had enough, and would leave without another word on the matter. But, Mum, please, why us?
Cried Richard.
Surely there are others who are more qualified to assist these humans and...
Aurelia quickly cut him off with a wave of her hand. She stood up and pointed to Richard.
Enough. My sons have broken a law that has kept the peace between humans and Kensians for generations. Punishment is your only recourse. I have decided you and Harry will go with these Terrans and assist them in whatever way they deem necessary. And I'll not have any further lip from you about it. Do you understand me, Richard?
Yes, Mum, Richard said weakly. He looked downcast, and his shoulders slumped.
We shall do as you command, my queen.
He sniffed loudly and wiped a tear from his eye. He then looked at Jack and snarled.
I will do as that human commands, lest he die trying.
No, Aurelia fired back sternly. You will do as Jack and Andy say, and that's that. This is my decree. Don't let me catch you breaking my word, Richard. I breathed life into you, and I can certainly take it away if I deem it necessary. And Harry? Harry had been wildly dancing like a madman near the edge of the circle, arms flailing, legs kicking up dust and dirt. Upon hearing his name, he stopped dancing and turned to the Queen. Now, Harry.
Yes, Mum,
asked Harry. He was still naked from the waist down, with grass stuck in his fur and a cloud of dust settling down around him. You be a good boy and do what you're told. You hear me?
Yes, Mum.
You help these fine people, remember? Do what they say, and I'll be pleased with you.
Yes, Mum.
And try not to break anything important this time, said Aurelia wearily. We only have so many ships, Harry.
Yes, Mum.
And do put some pants on.
But, Mum, I'll stain them like the last time. They pinch and get sticky when I poot.
Harry, you can't go around half naked for the rest of your life, son. And for Lord's sake, learn to use the bathroom like a grown-up.
But, Mum, you knows I can't go poot whilst I sit. It's unnatural. hovering over all that cold water? Makes me seasick, it does. Can't I go in the blanket like I used to?
No, Harry, you are royalty. We have certain standards, and going put on a blanket isn't one of them. You will go put like a civilized Kensian, and I'll hear no more about it.
Yes, Mum.
Harry cast his eyes downward and nodded.
Now come here and give me sugars like a good boy.
Yes, Mum.
Harry approached Aurelia and hugged her tightly. Even though she was well over 7 feet tall, Harry towered over her like a skyscraper. He purred loudly as he did so. Aurelia, trying to stay as dignified as possible, squirmed under Harry like a kitten trying to find its way out of a rolled-up bath towel.
Harry, you're squeezing me too hard.
It was clear she was having a tough time trying to breathe.
Oops, sorry, Mum. I just love you so much.
Harry unravelled himself from the embrace and stood back.
I know, Harry. I know,
said Aurelia as she tried to brush off bits and pieces of dried grass from her dress.
Just please put some pants on and try to listen to your brother from now on, okay?
Harry briefly looked back towards Richard, who was quietly standing enraged by his bench.
I try, Mum, but Richard can be mean sometimes. He yells at me a lot, and I don't like that at all.
I know, Harry. Richard means well. He's just impatient sometimes. Try looking at things from his perspective every now and then.
Aurelia was trying to be as civil as possible. That being said, she wasn't above a good ear-thumping when warranted.
I sees the same things he sees, Mum. And with the same height. I can squat down, maybe. Or stand on something tall. Laying flat can make seeing things harder, though. Unless we're looking at something hovering in the air. Then it would be easy to see his perspective. Do you want to look at birds and flying things, Richard?
Richard simply looked at Harry, then to Aurelia. Then he sighed deeply.
Harry, honey, I think you should just do what Richard tells you. And Richard, try to be more patient and hospitable towards your brother. You know he's special.
Richard looked away and quietly mumbled,
Yes, Mum. Thank you, that's all I ask for. I love my boys, and I hate it when you two argue.
Yes, Mum,
they both said in unison. Richard's expression seemed to indicate his unequivocal need to strangle Harry multiple times daily, however. Aurelia turned to Jack and I. Gentlemen, there are some, items you may need to aid you in your mission. Please follow Gatesmal Cecil, and he will take you to acquire them. He will answer any questions you may have. Please come to see me once more before you depart, though. I will have additional information for you which you will want to hear. And with that, a robed member strode forward, pointed to some sort of device at the fire pit, and hit a button. A thin blue beam shot out of the end of the device and struck the piled dried wood. The wood instantly erupted into bright orange flame. A cheer rose up from all around us. The field surrounding the hill was filled with countless Kensians. I had no idea they were even there. They raised quite a ruckus down on the plain below.
Damn, there's a lot of them, I said to Jack. Yep, Chewbacca's as far as the eye can see. I wonder if they eat cats.
Cats? Dude, what the hell are you talking about?
Alf ate cats, and he was a fuzzy alien. I bet these guys eat cats too. Stands to reason. Cats are probably the chicken of space, you know?
Said Jack as he was staring out over the multitude. The Kensians certainly looked like they were having a good time. They danced and played music while drinking some sort of dark green liquid. All their joviality raised a giant dust cloud that had bits and pieces of dried grass floating through it.
That's just so stupid, bro.
First off, Alf was a puppet on an 80s TV sitcom. The only thing alive about Alf was a puppeteer's arm up inside it, and arms certainly do not eat cats. Second, cats are native to Earth and only Earth. I mean, they'd have to farm the things to feed an entire galaxy.
I hate cats.
I know, Jack, I said wearily. Personally, I loved cats. Always had. I couldn't understand all the hate some people had for our feline friends. You have made that abundantly clear through the years, dude.
They smell, and they're so arrogant. Like they think they're better than us, you know, bruh? Always licking themselves. I know what they're doing. They're trying to throw you off. They think licking themselves makes them look innocent. I've seen them do it. Kill a mouse? Lick yourself. Shit all over the good carpets and get caught? Lick yourself. Claw your owner's eyes out while he's asleep? Lick yourself. They ain't fooling me, little bastards.
Dude, dogs aren't any better. Jack hissed as if he had tried to put out a grease fire with his face.
Dude, don't even. Dogs are way better than cats. They're loyal, they like to cuddle. Cats automatically hate you and would rather sink their claws into your brain than cuddle. Big difference.
Not really. Dogs do all the bad things cats do. I've had dogs. Trust me, I know, I replied.
Pfft. If a dog shits on the carpets and gets caught, you know he's sorry about it. You can tell. His sad eyes look up at you. The way they turn their heads when you yell at them. The point is, they feel bad about it. Not the furry bastards from hell, oh no. They'll lick themselves while you're yelling at them for shitting on the new rug. Then they'll turn around and trot off like they're saying,
"Whatever, puny human. Clean up my poops and fetch me more food. I'll be napping over here on your good coat."
Cats are nothing but ill-tempered bastards.
Whatever, dude, I love cats. I had 5 of them growing up. Pickles was my favorite. He was white with black spots all over him. I miss that cat, I said.
Did you cuddle with him?
Jack asked. I tried once.
What happened?
I can show you the scars on my arms and back if you'd like. They look a lot better now after the 3rd surgery, though.
See? Bro, cats are nature's assholes.
That's why I hope they taste like chicken. Serve them right if they did. No, they're so cute. Those big round eyes and pink button noses and the paws. Oh, so adorable. How could you hate that? Pickles used to show me his cute little paws all the time. Usually as he tried to peel my skin off like a potato, but that's besides the point. They're love scrapes. That's how they kiss you. You know a cat loves you when he butts his head against you, then pokes you with his claws. It's just so cute. Yes, I gushed, I admit it. When it comes to cats, I can't help it. They're my weakness.
Dude, your ovaries are showing because, you know, you're a fucking girl,
said Jack as he pointed to my groin. Fuck off, dude. There's nothing wrong with loving cats, I replied with a bit too much hurt in my voice.
Yeah, if you're a girl.
Whatever, dude. Here comes that Cecil guy. Damn, he's a big fella. Looks mean. You gonna give him a squeeze on his nuptials? I said.
If he gives me any lip, I will,
said Jack.
Gatesmile Cecil, I presume.
Jack held out his right hand.
Indeed,
replied Cecil while ignoring Jack's outstretched hand.
You are Jack, and you are Andy.
He said this as a statement, not a question. Jack and I simply nodded.
Excellent. The Queen has ordered me to be your Tesalvist all, your attaché to the Queen herself. I have been instructed to aid you in whatever way we can. Of course, the Exodus is in full operation, so that aid might well depend.
Depend on what exactly? Asked Jack.
It will depend on whether or not you are using it, or packing it, or eating it, whatever it might be. You said many brave things earlier, but it is my duty to inform you that I will not do anything that will put my people in danger. If you ask for something my people are using, then you will not have it. Am I clear on this?
He was acting more like a drill sergeant than a royal aide.
My first duty is to the Queen and her people, nothing more. If I can help you in your quest for suicide, then I certainly will do so. However, if your actions put my Queen or people in danger, I will kill you to myself.
Jack tensed up, balled his fists, and took a step towards Cecil. I put my hand on his arm, trying to calm him down. This could turn ugly really fast, I thought.
Yeah, no problem, Cecil,
said Jack through clenched teeth.
You should know that I'm fighting for my people and my world. If you do anything that endangers them, then I'll kill you on the spot, understand?
Cecil was silent, but his eyes cut through Jack like a laser beam. There was so much tension between these two that the air practically crackled with raw energy. I held my breath.
Very well, Jack. But I shall be keeping an eye on you, lad. Do not misstep.
I'm rubber and you're glue, replied Jack in a barely contained fury.
Whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. Don't forget that, Cecil.
Jack looked to me as if he had just spat out the most offensive and deep-cutting insult ever. I simply closed my eyes and shook my head.
The Queen has offered you room and bedding within her palace. I suggest you take it. You will be the first humans to ever set foot within the palace. So this is no minor offer," said Cecil without taking his eyes off of Jack.
"The Queen has her thanks, good sir," said Jack. "Come, squire, let's make haste to our new quarters." "Indeed," I echoed. As we walked ahead of Cecil, Richard, and Harry, I whispered to Jack, "Dude, why I gotta be a squire? Why not a governor or something more important sounding? A squire sounds so unimportant."
"It's the first thing I thought of, besides it pissed Cecil off."
I looked back at Cecil, who was obviously fuming. "Jack, why do you have to piss everyone off? What's the point, dude?"
"Like I said, bro, these people won't respect you if you don't fight back. Everything we've seen here today is kind of a test. They think just because we're human, we're weak and unworthy. If you stand up to them, they'll respect you for it. Trust me, brah, I know what I'm doing."
"I certainly hope so, or else we're going to get our asses kicked by some angry Wookiees. And so you know, you come off as terribly rude."
"I know, and I don't care. These people have lived on our planet for hundreds of years, and now that these Drow are coming, the Chewbaccas are running away to let us all die. I don't appreciate that one bit. So what if I'm rude to them? Screw them. I'm doing this for Earth and humanity. Plus, I haven't even driven my blue Ferrari yet. Fuck these Drow assholes if they think they can blow up my Ferraris."
"Of course," I sighed. "Good to see you have your priorities straight." We walked across the field from the hill and approached the palace grounds. They were amazing. Carefully cultivated bushes, flowers, trees, and things I didn't recognize were all over the place. The walkways were a combination of gravel and stone tile. The grounds walls were constructed of rough-hewn tan bricks, and stone which looked remarkably like wrought iron points, running across the top. It was all very old-world-looking, while at the same time having a futuristic alien feel to it all. But the palace itself conveyed a whole different style entirely. It was roughly egg-shaped, but laying on its side. The middle was squeezed in on both the top and the bottom and flared out at the ends. The shape of it left the structure without support in the middle. It was simple yet elegant. However, the design and construction probably caused massive headaches with trying to support the weight of the building on the ends alone. I could see no windows or doors whatsoever, which left me to wonder how one was supposed to gain egress. It was quite impressive, without a doubt. As we approached the palace, we could see many hover vehicles, running to and fro, apparently hauling freight from the palace to elsewhere. I presumed the Queen was preparing to move off-world and wanted to take all her stuff. I felt a pang of anger at this. Jack had a good point. Why live here so long, then move off and leave humanity to die when things got tough? It wasn't right. I was left feeling somewhat betrayed. Yes, they couldn't stop the Drow from coming here and blowing us all to Kingdom Come, but still, they acted like we weren't important enough to save, and that made me angry. I had no idea what Jack had in mind with this crazy adventure of his. But if there was any way to stop the destruction of Earth and humanity, I was all in. However, I had no idea what to do or how to even start. It was similar to having a loaded gun and no one to shoot. Still, Jack and I had to stop this mess. No one on Earth had any choice. I suddenly felt the weight of the world on my shoulders. It was not a pleasant feeling at all.
"We are to meet two of the Vamadala before we enter the palace," said Cecil from behind us.
"What are the Vamadalas?" I asked.
"They are representatives for your human world above. A human word would be familiars. We cannot meet with the British leadership ourselves, therefore we use humans as an intermediary."
I don't know what to make of this. Humans working for the Kensians. I understood why the Kensians couldn't meet with the British government above ground. A bunch of spacefaring Chewbaccas running around London wouldn't be the best way to stay secret. So yeah, having humans as go-betweens for the Kensians and the humans would be most wise. I hadn't thought about that until now. Most interesting.
"Ah, here they are now,"
said Cecil, motioning to two figures approaching us from a parked vehicle. The first thing I noticed was the figures were female. I could tell they were female because of two important facts. One, the two were thin and lithe and had very nice feminine figures. two, standing next to Jack, I could hear an inrush of air as he said to me,
"Dude, they're girls, hot damn! I called shotgun on the tall one."
"What? Shotgun? What are you talking about, Jack? We haven't even met them yet." "Dude, stop trolling for booty so much, will you? I mean, I'm sure those women don't appreciate a couple of men staring them down like that. They're someone's daughters or wives or girlfriends or something. Be a gentleman for once in your—" "Oh my God, they're hot!" I was gobsmacked, transfixed. As the women approached, I could see more and more of them, in finer detail, and what a detail. Seriously, this was the proverbial moment frozen in time. It was as if they were moving in slow motion with a rush of cool air blowing past them, making their hair blow out in a really sexy way. My mind went into safe mode and I became a gibbering idiot. Yeah, okay. I always became a gibbering idiot whilst in the presence of beautiful young women. As a matter of historical precedent, the girls were usually closer to me than this when the gibbering commenced. Usually they were close enough to actually see me. These girls were rather far off, and I still managed to draw myself stupid. The girls made their final approach, and my knees threatened to buckle. One was tall and blonde, while the other was shorter and had dark hair styled in a bob. The tall one looked like a picture describing what a California beach bunny should look like. Namely tall, well-tanned, and big-busted. She had a well-shaped Amazonian physique. She was wearing a thin blue dress which, while conservative, managed to hug her shapely lines in ways that shouldn't be mentioned here. The second girl was much more understated. She stood about 5 foot and 8 inches or so, and was petite in all the right places. Her pale skin and facial features were elfish in nature, which made her all the cuter. Her dark grey clothes were office professional with a skirt and black shoes. However, it was her eyes that did it for me. They were a bright electric blue inset behind almost Asian features. The whole effect was unabashedly cute. She had that girl next door feel to her. She was stunning and low-key, an adorable doll. "Gentlemen," said the tall blonde, "it is a pleasure to meet you. I'm Jen and this is Lucy. Queen Aurelia wanted us to assist you in whatever way we can." As Jen said this, her eyes locked onto Jack like a cruise missile on a homing beacon. She held out her hand and Jack eagerly took it.
"Well, hello there," said Jack in his patented schmoozing voice. "It is nice to meet you. I'm Jack, and this little fella here is Andy. He's smart."
Jack never took his eyes off of Jen. "Hello, Andy, I'm Lucy." Dear Lord, even her voice was cute, and she smelled nice too. "I'm happy to meet you." Those blue eyes drilled right into my heart.
Wah!
I tried to shake her hand. Were my hands sweating? Oh, God, do I have wet hands? Not now. No one likes a man with wet hands. Oh, God. I quickly wiped my hand on my camouflage pants, then jammed it back out in front of her a bit too fast. She jumped slightly and smiled. "Are you okay, Andy?" she asked.
Ah!
She looked at me in a queer way, as if I was about to turn into a zombie. I kept my hand out in front of her, and she slowly took it. "Are you sure you're okay?"
Ah!
I said as I vigorously shook her hand, and kept shaking her hand, then shook it some more. And then I couldn't stop. It was all I could manage to do. I didn't have control over my body at all. Oh, I was super suave and all heart-throbby inside my head. Outside of my head in the real world, I was a psychotic wreck with moist hands. "Jack, is your friend all right?" asked Lucy.
"Oh, him? Yeah, he's fine. He always gets really dopey when he's around hot girls," replied Jack.
He was staring at Jen, and Jen was staring back at Jack. There was so much sexual attraction between the two that I was convinced it would spark a raging fire that would burn all life out of the cavern. "Oh, well." Lucy looked at me and blushed. "Thank you, I guess." She smiled at me, and that caused me to gibber harder.
What?
Wait, why I gotta be dopey, dude? Jack had managed to embarrass me once again. He always did this when I was talking to a girl.
"'Cause you are, bro. You never fail to go all dopey when you're forced to talk to a hot girl. Remember Amanda?"
Jack laughed.
"Dude, you scared her so bad she ran out of my house and refused to come back. Oh, man, did I laugh at that. The look of raw terror on her face. Priceless. It's the little moments that count, bruh." That wasn't my fault, I countered. Thanks, Jack. Not only did you make me even more nervous, but now I have to explain why a girl I was hitting on got scared and fled the house, all while in front of another hot girl. What Lucy must think of me after this. Some of your friends burst into the room wearing ghost costumes and face paint. Sure, dude, sure. Blame it on my friends. That's a new one. The bastard actually rolled his eyes at me. The nerve. It's true, I hardly got anything out before your friends showed up and scared her off. Really? What did you say to her then? Asked Jack. He was clearly enjoying my discomfort. I looked at Lucy, then to Jen. I don't remember, I said weakly. Sure you do. Amanda sent me a text later that night. Let me find it. Jack took out his smartphone and began to flick the screen. No, dude, it's all right. No need to, I said hurriedly before Jack interrupted me. Here it is. Let's see. Ah, yes, she said. Jack, nothing on you, sweetie. It was your friend Andy. He's creepy as hell. Why do you hang out with him? He actually asked me what kind of soap I use on my vajayjay. What the fuck? I said it was strawberry kiwi body wash and that it didn't require any special soap. He then tried to touch my hair and said I should slide out of my clothes because I was sweaty and needed some lotion. Who the fuck says that? Jack, your friend has the creepiest smile I've ever seen. I never, ever want to meet him again. Thank God your friends come in dressed like ghosts. Andy saw them and screamed like a little girl. I don't know what would have happened if they didn't come in there when they did. Jack was laughing hard now. You really asked her what kind of soap she uses on her vajayjay? Oh my God. Try to touch my fur and I'll give you a swift kick to your genitalia, said Cecil in a very serious tone. That did the trick. Jen started laughing along with Jack. Jen gave me a, you are a sick, disgusting man look. Jack was laughing so hard he was wiping his eyes while slapping me on the back. Lucy, however, was smiling at me. Her eyes, she was looking at me with her eyes again. Those big, blue, wonderful eyes. I couldn't stop from being lost in them. This girl controlled me utterly. I had no defense against it. I was her toy, her plaything. Bah! I said while looking at her, my mouth refusing to work. You're kind of cute, she said as she reached out and brushed the hair out of my eyes. Creepy, but cute. She then smiled at me and I blacked out. Later on, after I had regained consciousness, the girls led us toward the royal palace. Of course, Jack wouldn't shut the hell up about me passing out, or about how funny it was when I creeped Amanda. Jack, you are a Class A asshole. Seriously, asshole, you prick. The girls were just ahead of Jack, Cecil, and I. Jen did most of the talking. She had a rich voice, and Jack, when he wasn't laughing at me, was absorbing every word she said. The palace is not only the living quarters of the Queen and her court, but it is the centre of the Kensian government. Everything is here. It's like our House of Commons. Kensian high priests are similar to a senator and a judge in the way that they are the ones who script the laws and enforce them. They are not a republic such as the United States. They're more of a military-run theocracy. Consider their religion to be similar to us ancient Vikings. They hold honour in the highest regard. Warfare is a Kensian rite of passage. Everything they believe is wrapped in fighting and honour. Even their gods are gods of war. Hitmael is their supreme deity, the lord of war and satisfaction. Jen went on and on with an endless supply of information on Kensian doctrine. As we grew closer to the palace proper, the building was clearly meant to be the dominant feature. It was all curved and had no straight lines or facets whatsoever. It was also polished to a highly reflective mirror sheen, with a brass-like colour. Reflections were distorted like a funhouse mirror. The reflections of Jack, Jen, Lucy, Cecil, and I were stretched and contorted very much out of proportion. I still couldn't see any sign of door, window, or any kind of egress at all. How did these people enter and leave the place? Jen, without stopping her never-ending diatribe, led us under the middle section of the palace. The bottom of the building hung low here, almost low enough that it could be touched. I also noticed the surface wasn't as pure or unbroken as first seen from a distance. Instead, there were tiny, thin lines running all across the surface.
These lines created different shapes that I later discovered to be pictographs, like ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. The entire surface of the palace was filled with them. And here we are. We are about to enter the palace, so please be on your best behavior. I'm sorry to say, we are in the process of moving off-world. So the palace is in a constant state of confusion, panic, and instability. Please keep that in mind, said Jen. How exactly are we to get in? I asked. I don't see any doors. Jen smiled at me as if she were smiling at a child, or a really smart ferret. There are no exterior doors in the palace, Andy. The Kensians have what they call smooth ductile technology. Basically, the walls will loosen and allow you to pass through, after which it gets hard again.
Gets hard again,
laughed Jack. Oh, you're terrible, replied Jen while smiling and batting her eyes at Jack. Lucy just rolled her eyes. Okay, guys, here we go. Close your eyes and hold your breath while you pass through the material. It's easier to transition, said Jen. That way you won't feel like you're being suffocated. Suddenly the reflective ceiling above us began to droop, like melted ice cream. The surface silently loomed lower and lower until it made contact with our heads. I half expected it to feel cold and heavy, but it didn't at all. It felt warm and nearly weightless. The stuff moved around our bodies like taffy, until pressure began to build on our heads and shoulders. There was an audible pop as the surface tension broke, and we were fully enveloped inside the stuff. It wasn't unpleasant, just different. I did feel a moment of stark terror and panic as my nose and mouth passed through. Jen was right. For a second it really did feel as if I was suffocating. After a few moments, Jen instructed us to open our eyes, and when we did, we found ourselves standing inside the building. Up until that point, it was the most remarkable thing I ever saw.